Okay. I like to just get into it.
All right,
honestly. Guys, we are back. It's Mike, it's Tony,
Yo.
and today we have a very special guest who, when I was at SHU, I honestly, I'm not trying to sound creepy or anything, but I would see you around campus. You're a handsome guy.
Thank you.
See you around campus, I'd be like, who is this handsome guy? Professor Todd Barnes, who is the creative director of
FTMA.
FTMA.
Yeah,
I was going
nice.
to say the Fairfield Theater Program,
FTC.
but I'm glad it's FTMA.
FTMA. I was editing a movie, and I was living in Stamford, and I was riding the train, the MTA train, and I would look up at the, you got nothing to look at. So the ads were up there, and it said FTMA, the only graduate film program in Connecticut, and I did what, I think everybody in the world would do, which is go, no.
Yeah.
And then I pull out my phone, I'm like, Yale, UConn, Wesley, and I'm like, no, there isn't one. So that's how I found it. I found it, I kind of knocked on the door, and was like, hey, can I teach there? And then I started as an adjunct, and then ended up, moving
Wow.
on more.
Okay. I like to just get into it.
All right, let's do
honestly.
it.
Guys, we are back. It's Mike, it's Tony,
Yo.
and today we have a very special guest who, when I was at SHU, I honestly, I'm not trying to sound creepy or anything, but I would see you around campus. You're a handsome guy.
Thank you.
I would see you around campus. I'd be like, who is this handsome guy? And I was like, and he's in the SCM building. He's in Martiri. I'm like, who is this guy? Why don't I have and I saw you at our, the beginning of the year. What's it called?
Orientation.
Orientation.
You were in orientation as well. And I was like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? Who is this guy? And then finally, guys, I'd say 2 weeks ago, Renee schedules a Zoom with Professor Todd Barnes, who is the creative director of
FTMA.
FTMA.
Yeah,
I was going to
nice.
say the Fairfield Theater Program,
FTC.
but I'm glad it's FTMA.
FTMA. The
How are
graduate
you?
film program.
Yes.
Our only one in Connecticut.
Only one.
Yeah, man. That's how I found it, actually. I'm good, by the way.
Thank you.
But I was editing a movie, and I was living in Stamford, and I was riding the train, the MTA train, to my editing studio in New York. And I would look up at the, you got nothing to look at. So the ads were up there, and it said FTMA, the only graduate film program in Connecticut. And I did what, I think everybody in the world would do, which is go, no.
Yeah.
And then I pull out my phone. I'm like, Yale, UConn, Wesley, and I'm like, no, there isn't one. So that's how I found it. I found it. I kind of knocked on the door and was like, hey, can I teach there? And then I started as an adjunct, and then ended up, moving on more. So
Honestly, but I also, Renee, I shouldn't have called her out. I'm not gonna lie, but there's a couple of things that we know about you. One is you and your brother own a production company.
yeah.
We're gonna get into that, and then two, you were a child actor.
Very small.
Child actor-ish.
On a very small
So
level.
I always think this show is just, I say it's my favorite. Like I said, it's just you love your children in a different way. We have
Right.
different shows that I love in different ways, but this show in particular is, I'd say, the most educational, because it's we get to go deep into you, the guest, and then we get to just bounce back and forth and talk about life and just how you got to where you are. And I just always find it so neat how people get to where they are, honestly. And it's just fascinating to me. Everybody has a different story. Everybody has such a beautiful life. So with this, I'm just curious, where are you from originally, first of all? And then what was your upbringing like, basically?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way as you, though. I'm always, when I'm talking about documentaries and stuff, I'm like, you could do one on everybody. And when you get into anybody's story, 5 minutes, you're always like, no fucking way.
Exactly.
So every single person has this really cool story. So for me, my brother and I were 3 years apart, and we always got along really well. Our dad was a really gadgety guy, so there was
Tech guy.
yeah, he loved
Renee
all the
always
things.
says my dad's a tech guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's a lucky thing. I'm not really, so unfortunately
Yeah,
for my
me either,
kids,
yeah.
I'm like, I'll find guys for you. But my dad really was a early adopter, and so he there's this thing called Betamax. You ever hear of Betamax?
No.
Anybody in? Okay,
No.
so
I'm
back
excited.
in the day, Betamax went up against VHS
Oh, okay.
head to head, and they were
Wow.
they were even for a second. You've heard of VHS?
Of course.
so you can see where the story's going.
Yeah, it's like yeah.
All right, so my dad bought all the Betamax stuff.
You went left instead of
and it was better stuff. I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of like Blu-ray DVD and
Compared to-
HD
got
DVD
it.
went against each other. And Blu-ray won, even though
Yeah.
maybe it wasn't better. Same thing with Betamax. So he bought these things, and it was like 2 big machines and like an extra camera. Like you had to carry all the stuff, but he let us play with it. So we just started making videos and stuff when we were kids, and it made all kinds of like stunt movies and other things. The thing we regret most is we were doing a stunt movie when we were kids, and I punched my brother Brad super hard in the face. Really, like you could hear it when we played it back. It was the disgusting, Foley sound, like yeah. And then, but the great line is because as soon as it happened, I was like, oh, and he sat down. I knocked him into a chair, and he sat down. And at first, I looked at him, and before I even said, "Are you okay?" I went, "You leaned into it," which we then looked back later, and he did not.
Oh, you were like,
yeah. I just hammered him.
Yeah.
So that was like when we were
actually funny.
Yeah, we were making those movies and stuff when we were kids, and then we always just kind of did that. So we were doing that forever. And then he
And
ended
where was this? What town?
up, that's Middlebury, Connecticut.
Oh, cool.
actually.
Oh.
So we were born in
Nice.
Waterbury.
Cool.
Grew up around here. We lived in New York for like 15 years. In between, he lives in LA now, but I'm back in Connecticut. I love Connecticut. I'm a
Yeah.
big
Like you
Connecticut
love the
person.
seasons? Or no?
You guys don't quite get the seasons like we used to. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I know. It's weird.
But yeah, no, I mean, Connecticut's the fall is like, you can't beat it.
Can't
That's
beat
what
it.
you wait for. So.
And honestly, you never get like major storms here. Like you might get the outskirts of a Katrina. You might, but it's never gonna be extreme. It's very safe here.
Yeah,
It really is.
it's pretty good. I mean, we had the hurricane. I don't know. We had the other day. Like, did you have that deluge the other day? That
Oh
came with
yeah.
this-
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
It comes on. I mean, like we don't get the hurricanes like Florida, but like it comes on in like 2 seconds now. It's like outrageous. Like, all right. But yeah, I love it, man. I love the state. I'm a Red Sox fan. Was a
Oh, okay,
Whalers
cool.
fan.
Nice.
Jets fan.
Nice. I'm a huge Jets fan. Die hard. This is our year. I'm saying it's gonna be
This
the
is
greatest
our
show
year.
on turf.
I know, so good.
It is. Yeah, exactly.
Funny, man.
It is. I know. This is the one year where I'm like actually like optimistic
Yeah.
because Salah and just
Yeah.
I think it's finally like we're building from the ground up instead of like trying to mask problems.
Right.
It's like even if we suck this year, we have a nice young core, we have a nice young coach. It's just gonna grow. So I'm really excited for this year. But
You're sweet.
yeah, I know. And
So-
it's like we're gonna be
it's so
2
young
and
and innocent,
14 and
You're only, what are you, like 25 years
No,
into
no,
being a Jets
no.
fan? Like
yeah, exactly. Yes,
You got a
yes.
long way to go.
Yeah, I know.
Never gonna happen, man.
Never. I know. Joe Namath was a one-shot wonder, I
Feels
guess.
like it.
Folks.
But I like it. I used to, it's funny because like the Red Sox, I was interested less once we started winning. So like the Jets, it's kind of my thing. Like I'm like,
yeah.
once you win, it's like,
It's like whatever.
had it.
No, I like that. So you grow up. Where'd you go to college? Did you go to like a traditional school, or did you go to like a film school?
No, I didn't. I didn't go to film school of any kind. I went to.
This is my guy, right?
I went to Middlebury College in Vermont, which is like a small liberal arts college. And my brother went there first. We grew up in Middlebury, Connecticut.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
I
what?
see your face. And then we went to Middleborough College, which was,
Was that just like by coincidence?
totally by coincidence. I mean, it's just, I think it was the best school Brad got into, and then I was like, that's the best school I got into. So, but we did both love it. It was great.
Yeah.
And then after that, my brother went to London for a while, and then I moved with him in London for a while. We lived there and worked in contemporary fine art, like selling art for a second. And then he came back and went to film school, and I came back and went to law school. So I went to like BC Law School, and he went to NYU Film, and we're like, we're gonna create a studio and all that kind of stuff. And so that's kind of was the idea. We formed a production company and made independent films and made commercial stuff. And
Don't think you're gonna get away from the child actor thing.
no.
So tell me about that, because that's you skipped it,
Right.
and you're trying to, but I'm not gonna let you. What is it? And Tony's a huge we have a show called Screen Time, because Tony's a huge movie television show guy, and it's basically with just like review shows and movies,
Okay.
blah 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 blah. So I'm curious, how did you even get into child acting or acting as a child?
Yeah.
And then how long was it? I'm not saying you're a Disney star, but
No,
I'm just like
it was
curious.
funny. I mean, it was like super local. So like, what ended up happening was there was this teacher who taught at my high school, and he was at a different high school first, and he had made like Connecticut public television movies, And then he came to our school, and I auditioned for like a local thing. And he's like, "Oh, you're really good," and put me in a bunch of his other movies. So like, we went to Martha's Vineyard and made one, and we went to Iowa and made one, and South Dakota and made one. So like when I was like 17, it's not too childish.
Yeah. Like, so it's like teen.
Well, my first one was like 15, 17, and then I think the last one is 19.
Okay.
And then they
teen
went
actor.
The teen, yeah, and I was like the big brother when I grew up into the big brother. For the last one.
Yeah.
And they like played on local Connecticut
cool.
things, but yeah, that was.
I've tried. But
did you? Where did you act?
I was. You're gonna laugh. You're gonna really laugh.
He was waiting for this.
No, I never get to talk to anybody about this. So.
Oh yeah, just us.
Just you guys. Yeah. You guys are just perfect. You guys are family. It's not like I get to like.
Tell
just
me
talk
about your
this.
acting career.
It's so bad. So when I was in undergrad, I quickly was just like, I'm kind of bored. I wasn't, as happy as I should have been and appreciated being at UB. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I want to try some acting stuff. And my buddy AJ thought he acts like, I don't know if you've seen Entourage.
Yeah.
He acts like Ari Gold. He's like literally.
Okay.
Ask Tony. Ask Renee.
Spot on, honestly.
He's
yeah.
A carbon copy of him.
Perfect.
Just in a real life setting. Mm-hmm. And he's like, dude, I'll be your manager, blah, blah, blah. Right? Yeah. So we I sign up for something. You have to pay monthly. And it's like you get auditions that you can't just like search basically. Mm-hmm. So we get an audition. It's just like to be an extra, but it was for TMNT2. It was a really cool experience. I'm not gonna lie, I was like, this is what I said to everybody. I was like, I'm Mike Theophil. I'm a basketball player here for the experience.
Nice,
right?
Yeah.
And that's just what I honestly in that moment. It's just what I was actually. I was nervous or whatever.
Yeah.
And they get you in this one setting. They dress you up. They bring you in a coach bus. All the extras ship you to what was Brooklyn, right by the Brooklyn Bridge. And then you just walk to where you're going. They're like, put your phone and everything in the charging docks over here. Security's everywhere. No one's gonna get there because you can't bring your phone on set. Mm-hmm. And next thing I know, they're pulling us everywhere. And I'm standing next to Alessandra Ambrosio.
Nice.
And I have in TMNT2 a moment where you can be like this when you're watching the movie. I saw it when it came out, of course, because I was like, guys, I'm in TMNT2.
Yeah.
Paparazzi took a photo of me. I thought I was famous. With Alessandra, and it's like one of those where you're like looking at the screen, you're like, dude, that's Mike. And then as soon as you look back, I'm gone.
Yeah, man. Well, you got freeze frame now, though. That's a big moment.
That's what I'm saying. So I get it. It's like that's my stint of it, but
it's worth it though. I mean, when we made movies, we would like my mom's in one, and like my father-in-law's in one. And my wife's in one. Like we put everybody in.
Yeah.
We put people's
like
names.
Adam Sandler.
People get a thrill. Yeah, why not? Like if you have the power to do it, why wouldn't you? I was like, yeah, Ma, you're gonna be in this.
Yeah.
And, I was like, do we need a hot girl? My wife's gonna be the hot girl.
Exactly.
So that's how you do it.
I love it.
Might as well.
So you went to school. You went to law school. Sorry, everybody, I got a little sidetracked. But you went to law school. Your brother went to NYU.
Yeah.
Production school, film school.
Film school, yeah.
And then so you guys graduate. Then what happened?
So we were like making movies when we were
during it.
Okay,
cool.
And actually, I didn't realize this until I was teaching because I was like, I never really like teach my movies. I'll do it in a pinch to like show a certain thing, but I always feel weird like watch my movies for like school.
I'm the best. You gotta watch this.
And so, but I looked back once to see if I would ever do it, and I was like, oh, all the movies we made during school, we didn't go to any festivals or anything, so it was kind of all practice. And I try to tell that to my students now, but we made a bunch of movies when we were there, and then at the end, we got commissioned to do this September 11th movie as part of a Spike Lee collection. And so like the year after, September 11th, 2001 is when it happened. September 2011, 2002, on Showtime, they premiered all these NYU shorts. So we did one of those, and we got Chris Walken to be like the voice of this fire truck. And it was actually all about Connecticut. It was like this girl sees it on TV and like wants to get her toy fire truck to New York to help, and it magically happens by the end. And so that was our first. That was 2002, really cool. And that was like our first. It was good. It was kind of a cool,
concept and emotional.
Yeah, we wanted it to be uplifting, like a lot of and it was during the year after, so a lot of the things were really hard hitting, like documentary style. So we wanted to sort of antidote that a little bit. So we got like a 7-year-old girl and a toy fire truck. We're like, how about that? And actually we finished that. That's a funny story with Chris Walken, because we finished that movie and he just had to do the voiceover, or whoever. So we went out to try to get actors, and we were like, let's just take a moonshot and see if we can get Chris Walken.
Yeah, how'd you do that?
We went through his agent. We actually sent his agent like straight through the agent, and like they didn't want to get back to us. They're like, oh well, we don't know. And we're like, but it's Spike Lee, and it's gonna be on Showtime. We threw everything at him. And it's September 11th, and they're like, he's not. He's really busy, but we'll let you know. And so we had to turn it in like in July, like late July, so it could go on September 11th.
Right.
And so 4th of July weekend, we just come home one day, and this is when we had house phones. It's an apartment in Brooklyn. Like we had cell phones, but we didn't use them for most of our lives. And we come home and we got the voicemail from Chris Walken. He just called us out of the blue. Like he got our number off of whatever. And so we're like, your next message. And it's like, hello, this is Chris Walken. I got some questions I want to ask you about your movie. I'm going to call you tomorrow at about 11 a.m. And so we're like, holy shit.
Wow, that's good.
And so we're like, fuck, Chris Walken wants to talk about the movie. It's like a 12-page script. So we stay up all night. We're breaking down every possible question. And he said he's going to call us at like 10 or 11 the next morning. So we barely sleep. At 11, 10, 11, we're looking at the phones. We're like, Chris Walken's going to call us. And he doesn't call us all day. And we just like fall asleep at like 4. Like, and he calls us at like 4:10. Like as soon as we fall asleep, phone rings, and like this is when you could have 2 phones, like your mom.
Yeah, like someone's upstairs, and someone's downstairs. Yeah.
So we both pick it up. And we're like, "Hello, Mr. Walken. What are your questions?" And he goes,
like Tony.
He goes, "Do I have to drive? I don't like bridges." And we're like, "No, we'll come to you. Where do you live?" And he lives like Wilton, and we were in Brooklyn, so he let us go to his house with a bunch of stuff and film.
I don't like bridges.
I don't
crazy.
like bridges.
Never knew that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he didn't like traffic.
Okay, traffic. That makes more
Well, the
sense.
bridges line is when he riffed. Actually, so he watched the whole movie and did all our lines, and he goes, "Do you want me to go through one more riffing it?" And we're like, "Yeah, I think that'd be cool, man." So he did the whole thing, and one in their line, she comes up to a bridge, and he goes, "I don't like bridges." So my brother and I have been saying that to each other for 20 years. Anytime we drive across a bridge, I don't like bridges.
I would too, honestly. Yeah. That's great.
So that was like the first one.
Yeah.
And then we we made a bunch of shorts. We made some commercials. We had a production company, so that's how we made money.
Yeah.
And then we'd make the independent movies. And before we did a bunch of like.
You'd like outsource for the. Would you outsource other
we
businesses?
did everything. We took every penny. That, Like we would get the quote. Like so we were the IBM production company for a while, and they did this thing called like a ThinkPad laptop program. They sent them to all universities around the country. So they flew us all over the country for a while. It was like the greatest job ever. Like me and my brother like grabbed equipment on our backs and just got on a plane and would go to Iowa. And then they sent us to like Idaho, and we drove to Seattle from there and like all through the Midwest and stuff. So we'd arrive and everybody like, this is the IBM crew from New York. Like they'd expect this. And we'd get off a plane with like one daylight bulb hanging with like some black wrap on it. We're like, it's the same.
It's fine.
All the
Don't
same.
worry.
It's a little shadow and a little light. You're gonna love it. And so, but it worked. We made it. And actually, that's when the way we glossed it up was we did expensive posts back then. We were in New York, so we'd shoot all this stuff on like high-8 tape that was crap. But then we do expensive like color correct and sound, and then send it off. So that was our gigs, and then we'd make the movies in between, like shorts and stuff.
I love it. We're starting to get into our own personal shorts and stuff. We actually talked to you about it, the show, which we can't wait to get into. But when you guys first started, what was like the biggest challenging part of like, starting actually, like getting it going?
Well, back then, I mean. You're gonna get a lot of back thens from me.
Yeah, no.
But it's been so democratized, the equipment and stuff. So, those shorts cost like $25,000 back then.
Yeah.
Because you had to buy film and rent, equipment, develop all the film and stuff. So just getting started was such an impossible thing. And now that's all been democratized, which is great because there's so many more things. But there's also just so much more competition.
Correct.
But the other thing is, you had to get into Sundance to get anyone to watch your movie. When I started getting into Sundance,
that was the thing.
Well, yeah, because everyone went there and it was on a screen, and if you were lucky, 500 people would see it. But it wasn't on the internet,
right? Like
there was nowhere to see a movie. I don't know if it's conceivable now to people today that if you weren't
there, especially those shorts, especially those more. Independent films. Yeah, you're not seeing those. It's not going to be on Netflix. There's no such thing as that. Yeah.
Nothing.
Even Blockbuster wouldn't even
No, we had there. So if you were in New York, you had to go to this place called Kim's Video. If you talk to anybody who was in New York back in the 90s, they know Kim's Video might even be open now. It was the only place to get these like deep tracks, you know, that you can get now for nothing.
Anyway.
Sign up for the Criterion Collection and it's all that. And so that was New York. And so like even in New York, like Columbia and NYU was going down to Kim's Video
and dropping, getting their stuff and dropping their stuff off.
Yeah,
right?
I mean that was the only way to see these things, and so the ability to see all that stuff and reference it now is kind of amazing.
Did you ever? You said you're from the area and you've kind of been here. Do you remember Mediawave in Fairfield?
No, it's Mediawave.
It was like my stepfather was obsessed with this place. He almost bought it when Paul, the owner, sold it. Like in 2016, actually, he finally gave up. Right? Think about that. 2016, it was a Blockbuster essentially, but like a mom and pop Blockbuster. And I just like it was like there would be like filmmakers in the local area. I can remember being like young and like middle school, and they like worked at Mediawave and they shot their own indies and stuff like that, and they'd premiere them in Westport. There was this one movie that was genius. It was called Race Walk.
Nice.
Where it's like, you know, race walking, like
yeah. Like you gotta get the hips going.
Dude, it's so
you gotta have a foot in the ground at all times.
Exactly.
Those are the rules.
Exactly. They made a hilarious comedy, like almost like Always Sunny Tony.
That's like Kevin Smith. You know the whole Kevin Smith story.
Well,
right?
he's obsessed.
Oh, I love Kevin. And it's funny you mentioned that about how everything's like being democratized, because he did an interview not too long ago about making Quirks. Yeah. And he was saying how back in the day you have to go out, rent the equipment, like figure out a spot, do everything kind of on your own, and now you know everyone has, and then starting like even getting someone to watch your movies a whole nother monster.
Yeah. Well, he had to go to Sundance with that. He had to get into like film festivals and have you know, big executives see it, and like you know, so not only that's kind of like, you know, I talk to students now about like the necessary and the sufficient of having a film career. It's like you have to do all that stuff, and it has to be good, and then you have to have just an incredible amount of luck. Too. Like you have to hit a missile with a missile. Like, you know, Kevin Smith, we might not have heard of him, if he didn't. Some guy didn't walk into a screening.
Like literally
that luck now.
Yep, exactly.
He almost never even actually made Quirks, because he made a deal with one of his friends who was at the same film school. I think it was Toronto Film School. I know it was in Canada, and it was whoever finished their script first was the movie they were going to do.
Oh wow!
And he happened to finish his script first.
That guy must be sitting in a bar.
100%. No, it's funny because I know of Clerks, don't get me wrong, but Tony made me actually sit down and watch it because, you know, obviously we're doing ours at Donut Inn. It's my stepfamily's place. It's kind of like a similar kind of like, hey, like I've worked here, like he worked there, blah blah. So
that's awesome.
It's just it's I love more the story than the actual film. I love what he just did that, you know.
Yep.
So what I would say. We'll get into it like later on. Like, what's your like favorite like job you've done or film you've made? But like, what was I'd say the biggest hurdle when you started it, and then what was the moment where you're like, okay, like we're good. We're you and your brother, like we're actually fine. Like we can keep doing this like for a career. We don't have to go do anything else.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think the answer to B is never. You know, you're always like, I want the next thing, and I'm thinking about the next thing. And so like, you know, it's never quite enough, and there's always a bigger fish in the pond. So you're always like, I'm gonna do the next thing and stuff like that. So, you know, but the biggest,
I feel like that means you love it.
I mean, you love it, but also like, you know, it's a goal. Like, you know, you're super into it, and like, it's miraculous to make a movie. Yeah. Like there's some people coming to Sacred Heart tomorrow that I've been helping location scout, and they're they're shooting this TV show that's on Prime called The Accidental Wolf. But like even I've been helping them pre-produce a little bit, and I'm like, it's gonna be a miracle that this gets pulled off. Like there's so many moving parts and all that kind of stuff. So I'm always super impressed with that. And that's also the hurdle of it. The hurdle of it is it's collaborative art. And so you're like, what's crazier than being like, guys, I had this idea in my head. Let's raise $1 million and assemble 70 people, put them together for 45 days, right? Yeah. Good idea? Yeah. You know, it's crazy. It is. The hurdle is doing all that. Yeah. Like, it's not going and painting, and no offense to people who are painters, but it's not like walking up to a canvas.
A mural,
Like, it's hard work. It's complicated. And, you know. But it's rewarding, you know, when you do it.
When it's done.
It's a miracle. You've done a miracle.
Yeah.
But I even think people's homework are miracles. I say that all the time. I'm like, I can't believe you guys turned in homework again. Because just organizing like 3 people in a room and saying lines and stuff it's complicated.
It's a lot. No, I always give credit to teachers, professors. We always talk about it. SHU was the best educational experience of my life, besides elementary school, because how can you hate elementary school?
Right.
Like, what's going on there if it's bad? Which you know what I mean? Like, there's very few schools where elementary school is that bad. So, but SHU was amazing. I'm just curious. Like, I don't know. Was there ever a point where you and your brother kind of in the beginning were just like, fuck this?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, and then the answer to that is all the time. It's like, that's the thing about it. It's really, because like, there's great successes, and those are awesome, and I love them, and I'll, tell stories about them too. But like getting hammered and like the failures and stuff are actually what made me who I am.
Yeah.
And so like, it's all that all the time, and so like, it feels never worth it at the same time while it's happening. I mean, no matter what you're doing, it's going to overwhelm your life right before the shoot, and then you're going to be on 14-hour days.
Yeah.
And then, you're going to be like, what are we doing here? And, that's part of it, too. I mean, for me, I've made movies for 20 years. I'm still kind of making them, but I like teaching a lot more because it's like 20 years into it. I'm seeing these filmmakers who are in their 60s and 70s. I'm like, I don't know how you muster the energy for that, man. I mean, maybe it's like coaching a team, but it feels a lot more like playing on a team.
Right. From your perspective.
Yeah, from my perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, like especially when you're directing or producing, you're answering every question of a giant corporation that you've invented 3 days ago, and you barely know all these people, and you're trying to make all this happen. And so, like, even just standing there, you're like, smallest thing like drinking water, you get so dehydrated and headaches, and you're like, what's happening? You're like, well, you've been standing and thinking for 7 hours.
I haven't had water in 10 hours, Todd. Like, come on, dude.
You haven't eaten in 48 hours.
But that's also what's impressive is like working your way up. Like people, it's smart to like exercise on the way to, like, if you have a feature and you're going to be usually you shoot shorts, and that's like 1 day, 3 days, 5 days. If you're going to shoot for like 30 days, you kind of want to work up to it. You don't want to get caught out in the middle.
And that's exactly like what we're doing right now. Like we do this stuff, you know what I mean? We finally have this part of the ship running smoothly, but like Tony and I like are similar in a sense of we went to SEM, not even to, I mean, I didn't go, I didn't go for, I didn't want to end up in sports, to say. I love that I had a job. I love that I could get a job. But I really wanted to make films. I feel like I have some creative ideas, blah, 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 and I love the whole process of filmmaking. It's like, it's just like a sports team where you start, like you said, you bring people together that you've never, especially in college. Yeah. You bring a group of people together that never have met. Yeah. And then in 6 months, you're expected to win a championship. Yeah. And it's like, it's just a beautiful thing. So it's like, this is that realm, and I'm so happy I'm here. So I don't know. It's crazy because we're in that place, and we have a buddy of ours who's like, you guys should do this, you guys should do that, you guys should do this. And I'm like, dude, I just want to do one just to start. Like, it doesn't have to be so extreme yet. Like, let's just show that we can do it. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? So I love that. Just like get it going. You know what I mean? You don't have to make it so perfect.
Totally. No, don't. And actually, my advice to everybody is just set the start date. Set the first day of principal photography. Just name it. Yeah. Doesn't matter what. It doesn't have to be that day, but it's going to be close.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, you just randomly name it.
Exactly what we did, actually. We named a date.
That's it.
We passed it.
It's going to be, but like that's
close.
You're ramping up.
It's going to be close to it still, though.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. What before I drink my water again, because I'm just dehydrated from the day. But what is your, I wouldn't say you're like most successful, but what is your like favorite project you've worked on? Let's put it that way. Like what is one that you just like felt that reward, not maybe on the terms of money or whatever, just like you personally be like, wow, like fudge. Yeah, that was awesome that we just did that. Took time, took effort.
Right. Yeah, I mean it's funny. It's like you're right to be like, what, I don't know what, because there's so many different categories, like successful, most rewarding, and stuff like that. Because, we had like, our last film was like a huge film, like a huge budget for us, like $1.25 million and 70 people. And
I mean, that's for a lot of people. It was massive. It's a big budget.
Yeah. So that was cool because of like, it's like, we worked our way up to it. And that felt like, oh, we had, earned this or accomplished this or came
made it.
But like that walking thing was a lot of fun. Like that was one of our first ones. Yeah. And that was a lot of fun. And then like, the jobs where we like, we flew out, like I was telling you about Idaho. We went to the University of Idaho, which is in Moscow, Idaho. We flew out there to shoot this thing with that equipment, and we got ourselves a Chevy Malibu and drove to Seattle. But like there was this huge storm. Have you guys ever been in the Northwest?
Not like that.
So this is a sick storm, like a crazy, insane. By the way, that's where they shot Twin Peaks. Like, so it's nuts and weird up there. Like, Snoqualmie Pass, they call it.
Yeah.
We're like, let's drive the Chevy Malibu to Seattle. And as we're driving over, they like shut down the mountain because they're like, you can't. No one, even better cars than this. But you're. And we had Florida plates because it's a rental. It's all the way. Yeah. And so we're like literally going to Washington State from Idaho. You couldn't be any further. And so we had to like pull over and stay at a hotel. And so we hadn't skied since we were like 12. Because we were on the East Coast, we woke up at like 5 and we're like, let's rent skis. And so we went and like rent skis and went down for a couple hours, ate lunch, stopped to eat lunch. And now you're like, do you guys ski?
Of course, I snowboard. I ski secondary.
I've skied twice, not good at all.
I'm more of a... Okay.
So
whatever.
So the ski ticket is expensive, right?
Yeah,
and so like you feel like you have to use it. It's kind of like going to Disney World and making your kids go to all the rides.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're there and we're like ride till noon. We're eating some like soup, and we're like that was pretty fun. And right as we're about to go out, we're like, hey, we didn't break our legs. We should not do this anymore. And so we turned all our stuff in and like jumped in the car. And so like we're driving down. By the way, like the snow up there bends those huge trees in half. It's such heavy.
Oh, okay.
Like it was feet of it dropped. And so then we jumped back in and drove to Seattle and like shot in Seattle and spent a couple days there. So like that was a job for IBM.
Right.
But that's like the best time ever.
Yeah.
And I think I don't want to mix up stories. No, because that's winter. Because like on another trip, we went to Seattle to shoot something while the Red Sox were playing the Cardinals in the World Series.
Nice.
And so we would shoot during the day, get a 6-pack of beer, and fill the sink in the room with ice, and have 3 beers each and watch the game. And so that's even better than any other movie experience I had. So like
your memories.
That's just fun. Like, and also that's what I say to everybody about success or making movies. Like I have students say, "Who's your most successful friend?" And I'm like, I think you mean my most famous friend, which is a way to look at that too.
Yeah.
But without even any of the fame or anything like that, all that stuff are like incredible. I have all my friends are my age, and they were like, finance or lawyers or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I've lived a lot of life. And
right.
It was like a lot of stories, and it's great. It's a nice feeling.
Yeah.
That you went and you made the movies that you thought you should try to make, and even if you fail at them, that's part of it.
Yeah.
Like, go out there and fail. Be comfortable. Mm-hmm. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, because that's the way to get better. It's the same thing with sports. Like your sports analogy is ideal, like because you just need reps first of all.
Yep.
And like like you were saying about getting a team together, you're just forming that from scratch, and you got to create that culture in such a short period of time.
Exactly.
And it's a lot of that. It's not just I like over the shoulder shots. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh my God. That's funny. So, what's your favorite style of film? Like, do you like horror? Do you like rom-coms? We just did a screen time on top rom-coms, for example, so that just popped into my head. Yeah. What's your favorite genre, I should say, of a movie as a viewer,
right?
Not as a creator. I won't say that.
No, that's a good differentiation, because as you say that, like we made 2 movies, 2 feature like narratives. And we didn't set out to, but like after we were finished, I'm like, oh, they're both rom-coms. Oh, yeah. And I wouldn't even say now that like I watch rom-coms a lot or something, but I like to make them.
Yeah.
We like kind of dark comedies, Coen Brothers kind of stuff. And now lately, I'm just stuck on like true crime documentaries.
Cool.
Like documentaries were not a big deal when I was growing up, and so now all these streaming services, like, oh my God,
Ted Bundy.
Oh my God,
so good.
If
OJ, the OJ one with Cuba. They also
Cuba Gooding Jr.
The recreation of the whole thing.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like a docu film.
There's lots of this cross genre thing is everything now. So
it is. So you're saying what's your favorite to watch though?
So dark comedy stuff like Coen Brothers, Miller's Crossing was like probably the first time I was like, I want to make movies.
Yeah.
Watching Coen Brothers stuff. When I was a kid, like E.T. was the one that got all of our attention.
Yeah, I'm a huge sci-fi fantasy guy. Like that is my thing. I can't wait to have enough money to be able to like make something like in a different realm kind of thing, you know what I mean? I have written actually in undergrad behind Tony's head, see that like green thing over there, like jutting out?
Yes.
It's a book. My first book I ever wrote, it's called Atlantica, the Book of Antium. that I
You've
want.
written more than one book?
It's 3. It's a 3-part series. And I wrote the script for that one. We could send it to you. It's horrible.
That's
trust
awesome,
me.
man.
But it's like I love sci-fi fantasy. I love Lord of the Rings. I Game of Thrones or whatever. Sure. Like,
I feel so bad for you Game of Thrones fans. It feels like they pulled the rug out.
oh
from
my god!
Quite literally,
they did.
yeah.
That last season was just rough, dude. That was rough. It's like you waited 8 years for something, and then
let
they
down.
just
So unfulfilling.
Yeah.
like
It's incredible. I mean, because watching that from the outside, you're just like, I can't believe they did that to those people.
yeah.
Because then now no one will watch it again. Like you could have had a long tail with that. thing.
Oh, it could have been, and then they could have been like, are they gonna
Offshoots and stuff.
Yeah,
like
how can you have?
I think
a
those guys had a
Starbucks
deal
cup?
for Star Wars or so, right? Is that
They
what it was?
that's
Yeah, they
the
did.
writers.
They
wrote-
lost their concentration.
That's what happened. The writers of Game of Thrones for the 7th and 8th season had already signed the Star Wars deal, which they started making during that deal, and completely lost focus and love for the project. You can't have a multi-million-dollar project based in like a different realm in like olden days and have a Starbucks cup at the
Right.
That was
Oh
funny.
my
communion
God,
table
dude.
between the kings and
Although,
queens.
to be fair, I will say that happens a lot more than you think. Like, everyone's on set and they're tired and there's just equipment. And then when you're in the edit, you should catch it in the edit or the color correct.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How
No,
do you
that's
let
fair.
it go through? Someone was probably like, like someone was
Right.
probably mad and was like, I hate you. I'm keeping this in.
But it is true. I mean, if you think about that, though, I mean, it's an interesting point about Hollywood, too, though, because, those guys had the big property, and so they were hot, and so they're like, we want you for Star Wars. And, like, the people are just people. There's no superhuman people. And so a person can only do so much. It's, going into Hollywood and back, I can tell you that there's 100 people who could be the person that you know.
Right.
And, it doesn't always shake out the way, in that way. But there's tons and tons of talent out there and only so many slots that you can hear of. And so like when you go and you're like, oh, we got to get the Game of Thrones guys, and you kind of kill Game of Thrones, and then they ended up not even getting that job. That's because they're just human people.
Right.
But in Hollywood and, most businesses, you're trying to chasing whatever it is. Like no one really knows. And so something gets hot and you go that way.
That's what's it.
Like when you get an agent, right, like you get an agent, you're like, okay, they're going to tell me finally how to make money. We've reached the mountaintop, and the agent's going to tell me. And we got agents, and they were like, when are you going to make money? Because they're just trying to like lasso somebody. They don't know.
Yeah.
Like they whatever gets hot. And so they're kind of trying to scout and grab people.
Right.
And some people are going to wash out and some people aren't.
Exactly.
But it's not like sports, because you don't get in there and they don't go, this is how you throw. They're like, get better. Now we're together. I'll make some calls if you tell me where to call. So it's like bewildering in that way to like come into the business. And
They're more like, I'll connect you. You figure out what the hell is hot.
totally.
Like, I'll make sure whatever is hot.
Well, they
gets
don't
there.
even. I mean, they can't. They can only connect you to who they know. Like
Right.
it's another one of those, like, it's a kind of a player coach, for example.
Yeah.
Like you get the wrong coach, and they're calling the wrong people. It doesn't work either.
God,
So
I'm not going D1.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a T3 athlete.
Yeah, you might be like, or like, you see like, who's the guy who just went from Detroit to LA to quarterback?
Stafford. Matt Stafford.
Right. So like, what if he's awesome? And then we're like, oh man, poor Matt Stafford was on that team for so long and never got a chance. Like, people didn't think Drew Brees was any good. And then
True.
It depends on your coach. And so this is the same thing with some movies.
Could happen with our guy, Sam Darnold, too.
Right.
Honestly,
He can take off.
I think he's going to. Just a side note, I've always liked him.
Yeah.
Felt like he just, Adam Gase.
True.
Oh yeah,
that was-
And
that was
Carolina
tough.
has a way better organization. I mean,
Face.
Completely.
Yeah.
Completely.
Although Sanchez never got better either.
And that's why I think we're due.
But we're due.
What does Barnes say on the sports part?
Law of averages.
Law of averages.
Right.
It's just like we're freaking due.
No, it's
and this, I'm in a diehard Facebook. I'm sorry to go back here.
No, please.
Diehard Facebook group for the Jets, and it's like one team, our team, all in capital letters. JATS, Jets is the name of the group, and they post a lot of stuff I wouldn't see. And it's this kid though, Wilson. He's literally family dinners every Sunday. He's training with top receivers outside of that, and then at dinner, he's looking at his playbook.
I mean,
I know it's what you want to see. Though.
it's funny. Yeah, of course.
I
but
know.
like that's the other problem. Every time you get a rookie in New York, they're covered too much. Like it's too much, man.
I know, and then you just fall.
It's like, I mean,
we're
we're here and we're like trying to do as natural thing as we can. But that kid is sitting there with the playbook, getting photographed. He knows that that's what's happening.
Yeah, I mean,
they're creating
the narrative.
They're creating an artifice.
New York's a tough market.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it really is.
And you want to take it. Hey, man, if you can make it there,
it's over.
You can make it anywhere.
Anywhere,
as the song says.
That's why it's true. That's why I always love the Northeast. I always feel like the people in the Northeast are just built different than anywhere else in the world. It's fast.
Yeah.
It's like if you can't keep up, you're gonna be left behind. Basically,
it's
right?
tight.
Yeah,
It's very tight.
Yeah, you got to keep going,
survive.
keep hustling. You got to survive. So I love it. And then eventually you get to retire in Florida.
for half the year.
Yeah,
51% of the year.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's funny. So now we'll segue actually to what is your favorite. Actually, I want to ask you, what's your like favorite movie or show? I don't know. Not ever, because that's so hard.
Just right now?
Right now, what's something that you're watching right now, or something you've watched that you really liked recently?
My wife and I are watching Kevin Could Go F Himself right now, which is like this AMC show where like it's half sitcom and then half drama.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good. Like it's a good drama and a good sitcom, and it's also very dark, and like I like that.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause my favorite ones are probably like The Shield or Breaking Bad.
Love Breaking Bad.
Like those are
obviously.
Have you guys seen The
Ozarks?
Shield?
No, I haven't seen it.
I like Ozarks.
And they brought it back. They're bringing it back.
When's the next season?
They're making it right now.
All right, I will watch that
Yes.
when it comes out. Ozark's killer.
I
love
know. I can't believe they canceled
I also
that.
grew up with him. I mean, you guys have him from Arrested Development, but that guy was like a kid actor.
He was.
Like he's been, and he's
Jason
always
Bateman.
been like this kind of kid
Yeah.
actor. So it's fun to have him
be a
go
different
dark.
role. Exactly. I know. And he produced it and directed it.
Yeah.
It's dope.
He was on Howard Stern not too long ago talking about that, how he was like, it was tough for him to get work after when he first started. It was like really tough for him. And then I forget what movie kind of
Horrible
propelled
Bosses?
him. No, it was before that.
You're saying,
Jason Bateman.
when he was
a kid.
young, you're saying it was
yeah.
hard for him to get roles. Gotcha. I thought you meant like he got
Pigeonholed.
into that
Typecasting.
Typecasting.
Yeah.
Sorry, thank you. Into that role. So
No,
it was
I think
hard.
you might be right though. Like it is around that time that he I'm sure there was some kind of earlier thing, but it's fairly recent that turn where he went dark.
And it reminds me of Matthew McConaughey with
Rom-coms.
from rom-coms to Dallas Buyers Club.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
have you heard about him? You've heard it. He was on Gary Vee. He got interviewed, and he was saying he turned down job after job after job for a while. Turned down big money jobs because he was sick of being typecasted as this rom-com guy. He's like, give me something different. I'm gonna hold out until I get it. Dallas Buyers Club, Oscar.
Nice.
Right.
That's a good
So
move.
fire. And honestly, I love him, but I wanted Leo to win that year for Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Well, he was owed one at some point.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
My wife met McConaughey and Harrelson. She hung out with McConaughey and Harrelson together.
Does he
He's a
smell?
detective?
Does he smell?
Yeah.
I'll ask her.
Word on the
Ask her,
street
because
is
apparently
that he does not
he's got
wear
bad BO.
deodorant. He doesn't wear deodorant. He's like
Doesn't
a
wear
natural
deodorant,
guy.
I will ask.
Natural
I'll
wild
report
guy.
back.
I'll report back. Thank you. Confirmed.
Episode 2.
Yeah.
He smells great.
Yes, he smells beautifully. As good as he looks, he smells.
Big Old Spice guy.
Yeah, huge. Doesn't care about the environment. But that's cool. All right, so what is then your favorite, project you filmed? Or it doesn't even have to be your favorite, but like what's something that's like recently, like you could just like think of right now that you've done and you're just like, I love that project. Love working on that.
I mean, recently, it's funny too, because like, I don't know, like I guess my own films, I'm like, it's weird. I like them. They're fine. Like they're good.
Yeah.
You can watch them, but I don't mind if you don't like them either. So it's weird to like recommend my own films. But I like recently I've been shooting for the Food Network. I've been shooting like some documentary stuff for like it's a Guy Fieri documentary, and
Nice.
I'm following a chef around. And I really like that. Like it's fun to just run around and shoot stuff. It's kind of nice to not be the total boss and responsible for everything.
Right.
Like my whole career, I was the director, the producer, and always had final cut with my brother.
Yeah.
Which is like, in your mind, you're like, that's great. You get to make all the choices. But, you're tired of making all the choices.
Yeah,
after a while.
yeah.
There's a lot of pressure.
Lately, I've been like, they're like, this is your day rate. Go out, get me this footage, and upload it at the end of the day. And then
That's it.
that's it. You go home and hang out with your kids. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's pretty nice, too.
yeah.
So, like, those are fun. But, I've got all kinds of, like, stories from all these different shoots and from meeting people at film festivals and then, working on their films. And so, figuring out individual ones is kind of funny.
I know,
have
yeah.
to just
It's
run
a
them all
loaded
down. I'm
question.
like, oh my god, and then that one. And I don't even think about them normally, to be honest.
I know it's a loaded question. I just figured I'd ask. Honestly,
no,
to be
doesn't
honest,
hurt.
because you never know. Like, there could be one that you're just like you're thinking about. That's like, dang, we really didn't think that one was gonna happen, and we freaking made it happen, kind of a thing.
Well, we did.
Right.
We made a miraculous documentary about these singer-songwriters called East Nashville Tonight, which like was crazy. Like they were messed up the whole time, intentionally so. Like we made a documentary like that way, and it just kind of came together. And that's another one where like my brother and I were in it. My wife came down and like acted in a part in it. And it was just a few of us in Nashville running around, chasing around like Todd Snyder and a bunch of other like outlaw musicians, and they were taking drugs and disappearing on us, and people were showing up who weren't supposed to show up.
Wow.
And we were trying to just piece it all together, and like that was fun because I didn't know what we had until the edit. And then weirdly, like stuff happened where we're like, oh, they said that, and then there's that song, and so
it's like put these
it's kinda,
together.
It was felt like it just fell together.
Heavenly from
Yeah, like sometimes you hear songwriters who are like, I woke up with the song.
Yeah.
So like
It's like that was that moment.
Yeah.
We woke up with the footage.
That's crazy.
We don't remember the night.
Yeah, it was a bit like that, man. I mean, that's how it starts. The first scene. So like, you ever seen Top Gun? You ever seen the movie Top Gun?
Yeah.
So at the beginning of Top Gun, they start on the aircraft carrier, and there's a bunch of smoke, and then words come up, and it says in 1986, the United States Navy tried to get it, and it's all written up there. I love Top Gun. My kid's named Maverick. My youngest
cool.
kid.
Wow, that's awesome.
My wife does too. She like, and that's not how we got together. The first kid's named August, which is like after her grandfather, very
Traditional.
formal.
Yes.
And then his middle name is Brian, which is my father's name, and then we had our
Very
second
traditional.
kid. And I'm like, oh, I wonder if we'll go with my grandfather, and then we'll see. And then my wife's like, what do you think about Maverick? And I was like, if you're not kidding, that's his name.
I'm down if you're down. Yeah.
That's like my thing with Hercules. I just want one kid with the name They hate on it. I just think it'd be so cool. Like, just
I said, no, go for it, man.
Right?
And also, it's Google times now. You make it weird
true.
so you know who it is. You don't want to
Yeah.
be.
I don't want him to be.
You want to be Hercules number. What's your last name?
Theophil.
Okay, there's not that many Hercules Theophils.
There's
around.
I don't.
Like,
There's
you're probably going to be the only
there's
one.
the only one. Dude. Like, I'm thinking my second kid because I don't know. Maybe I'll have a junior, or if it's a daughter, I'm screwed. But whatever. Anyway, neither here nor there.
Hercules.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you
exactly.
have to.
Exactly.
For that kind of
Thank
fun.
you. Thank you. And so you have kids. When did you become a professor?
A few years ago. So, like, I was, we were making those films, and
You were on the train.
So earlier than that, I was living with my brother in Brooklyn. We were just making films all the time and doing that. And then our last feature, I was living in Brooklyn first, and then I moved my family to Stanford, and then went down to New Orleans to make the movie. And did that for like 3 months, which was great and fine, and I enjoyed making movies. But I had a 2-year-old, and I was like, that's when I was like, oh, I'm not a soldier.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this anymore. Like, it's all consuming. And so I was like,
Yeah.
I want to figure out a way to do something like this, but not be far. So I was editing that movie, and I saw those ads, and I was like, hey. And I kind of stalked the people who ran the program before. I kind of showed up where they were and at a Q&A, and I was like, hey, can I come in and teach a little bit? And so then I got a couple classes at first, and it went well with the students, and so I was an adjunct, and it kind of built up from there. But like, it's the greatest thing. I have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old, and they rule. And like movies, you fly away for many months and all that kind of stuff. And like my wife and I are always talking about how like life's a countdown. Like you don't know when it ends, but it's counting. Like the clock's ticking.
Yeah, every
And
day.
what do you want to spend your time doing? And
Right.
like, while my kids are small, I want to be around them. And so be able to do this and help people make movies and like see my kids and stuff is like killer. So I'm here. My brother went to LA. He teaches at USC now.
Oh, cool.
And my mom was a French teacher, so like
It's in the blood.
We dig it. I love it. Like it's fun.
I mean, I wish I had you as a professor. Honestly, Renee raves about you, and I can tell why.
Yeah, I've heard. We had a few classes with
honestly.
Renee. She's awesome. I mean, that's the thing, though. It's just like it's nice to be around people who are making stuff. The energy of like people who want to make movies is something I want to be around all the time, and so this is kind of a perfect fit.
Are your kids into movies and stuff? Do they love shows?
Yeah, I mean, like
I know they're young. But
it's a good question.
I
I
mean,
mean,
it's something eventually you got to get them into. Avatar, not Entourage. Avatar.
Entourage eventually.
Watch Entourage now at 12 years old.
We'll get to
No,
that.
Avatar: Last Airbender is literally my favorite show of all time.
Awesome.
It's a children's show.
I've seen that. We're not there yet, but
Yeah, that is Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
It's
they're
awesome.
into. I mean, they're into movies. They watch a lot of movies, but it's a kind of a classic scenario. Like I was overconfident with my first kid because I was like, I know a lot of people who make movies, but they don't like sports necessarily. But I was like, I know sports and I know movies and I know a little about music. I was like, I'm gonna be a great dad and talk about whatever they want to talk about. And of course, my kid comes out and he loves video games, and I was like,
nice.
blind spot for me. And so I don't, I've just been learning that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so like it's a classic. Like I'm like, but I'll watch him play Fortnite or something. And I'll get hyped. Like, it's like sports. I got to sit in my hands.
Yeah.
Because it's so exciting
It
to watch
is.
your kid do something like that.
I know.
But yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if they do movies. We were first generation go out to Hollywood. And it's, obviously that happens. But there was so much to learn that we always talk about, if our kids want to do it, we'll be able to tell them.
Yeah.
And they'll have more of a shot. Because we were just out there we didn't know anything.
Yeah.
We didn't know anyone who had ever done anything like this.
Yeah.
And so every step of the way, we were like, who do you talk to? And manager and agent, what's an age, the festival? And so it's funny now because you see, if you look at the Gyllenhaals, right? Jake and his sister.
Yep.
Their parents were in the industry. Like a lot of the people you've heard of, their parents were in the industry some other way.
Anthony Hopkins' daughter is Tomb Raider.
Okay. So yeah.
No. You're thinking of
What's his name?
Somebody's daughter.
Tomb Raider.
No, Angelina Jolie.
Angelina Jolie.
Her dad.
Oh yeah, her dad's John Voight.
John Voight. Yeah.
So
sorry.
that's actually,
Anthony Hopkins.
but that's
Anthony
actually
Hopkins.
everywhere. It's much more than you would think, and it's not even like they give them the job. It's just knowledge in the
knowing.
family.
Yes.
When I'm sitting around with my kids, I just say things that they're going to understand the industry much more. We were literally like rubes from Middlebury, Connecticut.
Yeah.
We're like, what's going on out here? We want to make some pictures.
Yeah.
And so it's all that stuff to learn is an incredible amount at once. And so it's a lot of good knowledge. I'd like to tell my students and my kids if they want to do it someday.
Yeah.
But it's a lot. It's a crazy business, obviously.
It is.
Everything you've heard is true.
Yes. Everything you've heard is true. Tony, you hear that? Satanic Hollywood.
All right, dude.
I'm joking.
But now it is a little bit different. I mean, it's not so power centered.
It's not.
I was in rooms where we were all trying to talk to Harvey Weinstein.
Oh, wow.
And stuff, and everyone's
there.
standing around waiting for one person. And now it's kind of you can put your stuff on YouTube and get a fan base, and now you're in charge.
Literally.
And all those power people in Hollywood are terrified of that.
Dude, they're so scared.
And they don't know how to play it. If you walk in there this is my fan base, they'll be like, what do you want to do, man?
Yeah, what do you want? Yeah, no, it's crazy nowadays. I heard I watch a lot of YouTube and stuff like that, but Hollywood's a lot of producers, a lot of executives and a lot of agencies are trembling in their boots because, like you just said, you make a YouTube series, you make something, you put it out, you get that following. They could do whatever they want. Netflix could call them right now and be like, hey, we're going to offer you $10 million just to make first season. And then we'll offer you $20 million for the next season.
Yeah, because they want to capture. Just the Netflix model is capturing, right?
Yeah.
It used to be box office, but box office doesn't matter. Netflix just wants you to capture a part they don't have yet.
Exactly.
So if you can bring your audience to Netflix and say, these people don't sign up for your shit yet.
Yeah.
But they will if I bring them.
Right.
Then you are the person with the power all of a sudden.
Exactly.
And that never happened before. You couldn't say you had
And there's so many different ones now. There's so many different streaming platforms, from literally Netflix to freaking Peacock, whatever that is.
Right, Paramount, and
what the
Hulu.
hell? Peacock, come on.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So I don't know. And Tony said this, I feel like I'd say 4 months ago. He's like, they're literally turning, with all these platforms, it's just literally
back into cable?
It's
Yeah,
cable.
you're gonna buy
yeah.
all these streaming services, and it's gonna be
They're
cable.
here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to package.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, they're going to
exactly,
package it all.
Hulu started doing that. I think it's Hulu, ESPN,
And Disney Plus.
and Disney Plus.
Yeah.
There's a
We'll
package
be right
deal
back
now.
to
So
cable.
Yeah,
it's
for $19.99.
right?
Yeah,
All right.
they'll work it out. It's kind of like
Tony's like, yeah, I'll do it.
Did you guys hear last year when they were like, Amazon is going to start buying up all the empty stores in the malls and put items in there for you to go try on or something,
Right.
so they're going to make malls.
Stores.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, literally.
Stores.
Yeah. So you're just doing it all over again. No, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's definitely a different. I feel like it's not any harder or any easier, honestly.
Yeah,
you know, it's just
always
a different struggle.
It's a numbers
Right.
game. Like how many people, are going to have those jobs?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You want to feature film? I mean, that's the other thing that's nice too. Like when we were doing the NYU program, in the turn of the century, it was like be a film director, a feature film director, and maybe a TV director, but that was a lower class job.
Right.
And otherwise it's that or bust. And most of those students busted. Like that's the highest ranked film school in the world. Those people come in and spend tons of money, and most of them didn't make films. We were some of the very few people that ended up making films because that was the only goal then.
Right.
Now you can go to film school and do 1,000 things. The other thing is all the things you're talking about, all that demand and all those streaming things, which was already more jobs than ever before.
Yeah.
A lot of those people got furloughed, and a lot of those people got fired last year. And I know a ton of them that aren't going back, not at least to those jobs. And so for the first time in the history of this business, which it's always been a really hard business to break into, you've always had to have luck and hard work and all that. For the first time I've ever seen it, and probably the first time ever, there's going to be a lot more demand than there is supply in the next couple of years because all those people kind of left, but the supply is the same or higher, right? We all went to our houses and were like, more streaming, more.
I need more shows. I need more creativity.
So, like, it's a good time to get in the game, and they need content, too. Like, if you guys make something, like, we had to get into Sundance and then catch like, hey, will you give us a little money? Like, but now you can be part of it right at the beginning. Like, if you make something that catches fire, because there's such a need for content.
Yeah, we're trying. We are trying.
Yeah.
We are trying. We're trying on so many different levels, and I know we'll hit one day with our original because we just have such studs like like Tony and Barnes and just different characters we have that are just like.
You have a person named Barnes?
Yeah.
His name is
Brian
Barnaby.
Barnaby.
Call him Barnes.
Wow, really?
So we call him Barnes.
That's funny.
Yeah, I know. He's literally.
That's what everybody, my friends call me Barnes.
Yeah. He's like,
I'm so easy at that point,
He is
Barnes.
literally a character. I feel like I've been mentioning him. Like every dream is free. I think I'm in
easily.
love.
Yeah, I think so.
I swear
You're building a character.
Yeah. I love you, Brian Barnaby.
I support all the Barneses.
Yes. So what do you say is next for you right now? Like what do you have planned? Do you just want to kind of be a professor for a little bit and kind of just help, or do you have a project that you have like secretly in the back tucked away that you don't have to tell us, but you're like you have it curating right now or something for the future?
Yeah, I mean, all of that probably. I mean,
I love your answer.
I'm old enough now to know that like I have no idea what will happen in 5 years. Like the twists and turns I've taken in the time that we've even just done this. Like when I went to law school, and at first I was working for a place called Rudolph and Beer in 1999, and that was Larry Rudolph. Does anyone know that name yet? That's Britney Spears' manager, and was then.
Oh. Yeah.
And so like I was in that at like 1999 and doing that kind of stuff. And so I've done all this kind of. I was there first, and then we made films, and we went this way, and then we lived in separate places. So I have no idea. Like right now, I'm like my kids are 9 and 6, and I like them, and as long as they like me, I'm like I don't want to go make a long form anything, but I get to help people make films in the program. Like I said, professional films are coming back to production, so I've been like helping people get on set and producing a little bit, which is making me go, okay, I'll go a little bit back into it. So the truth is I probably will do much more stuff just because of the thing I just said too.
Yeah.
Like it's coming back. It'd be stupid to not.
Right.
And so, but I also feel like the power has shifted, and I don't have to go somewhere else. I might be able to do it here.
Yeah.
So
I think so too.
Yeah,
honestly,
I do too. So I think
I don't need to go anywhere.
I'm ready to make some stuff. Like and I think it just goes well with my students making stuff and people making stuff in Connecticut, or you guys making stuff, and just you meet people and something happens. So I feel certain that I'm going to be back in the.
I believe it too, and it's funny you say that because I'm obsessed right now with John Gotti Jr. And I just watched a 60-minute documentary, and his father always said, the only thing you have in life is memories. That's the only thing you have. So make as many as you can. Right. So it's good that you're taking.
I agree with that. Unfortunately,
I know.
I don't agree with a lot of what John.
No, of course. No. It's so. I'm not Italian. Everyone's Italian, and I joke around that I'm part Italian. And Tony.
My wife's Italian. My kids are half Italian.
Yeah, I feel like there's somewhere in me that I'm Italian because I'm just so obsessed.
I'm like that too, though. I'm married an Italian. I'm so much more Italian than my wife. Yeah. She's like, enough, and I'm like, let's do all the Italian stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
We were cheering for Italy against England.
Yeah,
just loving it, man. Azzurri.
Yeah, it was a great win. I know. I love their culture. I love especially the mafia. It's just so fascinating to me that they can.
I mean, there's the pasta, which is nice, but the mafia. That's actually a funny thing about so I have a theory about the mafia movies, because I wasn't really alive at this time either. But like no movie has ever had more, I don't think, cultural power than The Godfather. I mean, obviously The Godfather is a big famous movie, period.
Yeah.
But if you were an Italian before The Godfather came out, your identity was like, we make food, we love life, there might be some accordion music, there's some fishing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then The Godfather came out, and that was so cool that like all my friends growing up were Italian, and I've known Italians my whole life. As soon as that movie came out,
all of a sudden,
everybody was like, I gotta be a little bit scary.
Yeah.
Like literally every single person you know is like, I might know somebody.
Yeah.
You know, because
Exactly.
it's just too important a touchstone. And so like now it's like, you know, I wonder if anyone remembers a time before that when it was like Chef Boyardee and spaghetti and stuff like that. It's like, no, I'm gonna shoot you in the back of your head. You understand? I'm Italian.
Yeah, exactly. Forget about it.
Oh, that Johnny Depp scene is great. The
Forget about it
scene.
Yep.
In Donnie Brasco.
Mm-hmm. Oh, God.
Funny. Yeah, but I love it. I mean, the culture and all those movies, and you know,
It's just
the best.
I don't get it. I just don't get how they could just murder and kill, and then the next thing, like 20 minutes later, they're hugging and kissing their nephew and niece. You know, like
There's
Very
a lot
honorable
of
people.
Well,
yeah, I know it's crazy.
to be fair, the hugging and kissing happens no matter what.
I know.
Italians.
It's
You
just
can't get in
insane.
or out of the room without it.
It's just crazy to me. But
It's fascinating though. First, I mean, you know, movies are drama, so what could be better than life or death?
Right.
Everything. And
I
then,
mean, geez.
yeah.
I mean, honestly, though, I want to make a movie called Junior, to be honest, about John Gotti Jr., because I think his life is so fascinating, how he's just born into it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, being famously
Right.
And his dad was, you know, on TV a lot. That was what was weird about him.
That's what was crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that,
we weren't. He
was-
was not shy.
Almost like
Not
a
at
public
all.
enemy, almost.
Yeah, he was really loving it. I was old enough to see that on TV.
his
And
thing.
when he got off, he'd get off publicly. They wouldn't get him,
Right.
and then he'd set off fireworks in his neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like, it was a national thing. We're like, hey, did you see John Gotti got off?
It's true. They put in. I don't know if you should go watch it. It's trash. Don't.
Travolta movie?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Travolta
I haven't seen
one.
it. I just remember all the stuff when it came out.
It's
There was
literally
so
they
much-
cover all that. Like when he gets out of prison, they're throwing off fireworks. The cops come and he's like, "Get out of here! You don't want to be here right now." And then they leave. We're gonna get you next year, Johnny.
Yeah,
They say.
I mean, it's funny. Like, you know, I'm fat. I don't know much about John Gotti Jr., but I'm always fascinated by the sons or daughters of super famous or powerful people, because I just
Right.
think that's always tough.
It
like,
is.
It's got to be, you know, tough to have to be like always reflected in that way.
Yeah.
And then 10 times as tough if you're stuck in like a criminal. Like,
Right.
what if you're like 10, John Gotti Jr., and you're like, I'm definitely going to prison someday.
Yeah,
Like,
literally.
there's no way I'm ever gonna avoid that.
Literally, like you're born in the streets. He always says it. This is the streets. Like, you know, his mom didn't want him to be it, but
Of course.
he saw his father, and he said his father never brought it home or anything, but just the way he was as a man,
Everyone
he wanted to be
respected
his
him.
father.
Idolized.
We all do
idolize
that.
him.
I mean, like,
He
you know.
looks at
Yeah.
you'll see him in the interview. He'll look at a painting of his father. He's like, handsome,
Right.
handsome as ever,
Beautiful as ever.
beautiful as ever,
Wonderful.
wonderful.
Yeah.
The Dapper Don.
Yeah,
Yeah, Dapper Don. Yep.
Teflon Don, they
Yeah.
called him
Yep.
too.
Gets out of
And
the car,
Couldn't stick anything to him.
brown suit, brown
Yeah.
overcoat,
Yeah.
green tie. Beautiful as ever.
beautiful as ever.
That's what he says.
Yeah, in the interview, it's
Beautiful as
That's
ridiculous.
awesome.
Oh man. I don't know. Do you have any questions?
I know you mentioned the Coen brothers, but
Yeah.
do you have like who's your favorite director of all time?
Yeah, there we go. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
that's good. I mean, so the Coen brothers were a good bet for that. We stole all our credit ways for them. Like when they started, they're like the same too. Joel went to NYU and his brother didn't. And then Joel was the director and Ethan was the producer.
Right.
And it's all if you go through our IMDb, we're that way too.
Yeah.
And then one year the Coen brothers like, we're co-directors and co-producers. And we were like, yeah, well, us too. The next year. So we we copied their stuff a lot. And I like Paul Thomas Anderson, I think is great. You ever see Punch Drunk Love? So like,
Heard of it.
yeah, he did There Will Be Blood.
Oh,
too,
okay.
and stuff like that. So he's amazing and killer. So we like, all this kind of weird, quirky. We like funny stuff that's dark, right? And so we get into that
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
I like it.
Yeah.
I love it.
What about you guys? What's your favorite movie?
It's tough for me. I want to say it probably comes down between Smith and Tarantino, and I want to lean towards Tarantino.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know. It's just, I mean, probably one of
he
the
is
first.
great. He's
So you like video store clerks, people who've worked in video stores, like Tarantino and Smith both.
Oh, like actual,
like
they
that's
worked
their
in a video
backstory.
store. Yeah, for sure. And I think probably the first film I watched where I was like, wow, like I could really get into making films. It was probably Pulp Fiction, honestly.
Yeah.
And just to kind of hear that story, you know, the dialogue and the fact that he wrote each one of those stories separately as short stories, and then realized you can kind of bring them together and, you know, overlap their stories into one big movie. I just thought it was so cool.
Yeah, Roger. Do you know who Roger Avery is? He's the other writer in that. Mm-hmm. So he was the other guy who worked at the video store with him, and then he made a couple movies. One called Killing Zoe, which you should watch. It's about like a bank robbery in France. But I'm of the age where when we were in college, we watched Reservoir Dogs on a loop. We had VHS tapes. Everyone's watching it over and over again. And Pulp Fiction, I think, came out when I was in college and like won Con and all that. But that was so revolutionary then for us. Like in that storytelling, like that was, and that, you know, he's another good example too, because like he's before the internet. Right. A lot of those scenes are just total ripoffs, and like you know,
references to
so like, which is great. That's art, you know. But like at the time, no one knew. You know, you're just like, wow, this is amazing. And then later, you're like, oh, I see that standoff. That's It's borrowing from the greats. Smart move.
And it's cool to see him even now when he's still making these movies. And I feel like, especially
he's only doing one more.
He's only doing one more. Yeah, number
last
10.
One, right?
Yeah. You want to do 10 and that's it. But I feel like, you know, how like gory and like how like hardcore some of his scenes are. I feel like, especially in today's society, I feel like if he was a new director up and coming, I don't think it would have flew.
I 100% agree with you. Yeah, I think you had to.
He kind of grandfathered himself into that style, and
we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens to 10.
Yeah, true.
I don't know, man. I mean, the things are rapidly changing. Like the world is, you know, it's an interesting place, and I don't know. You got to adapt to it. You know, I wonder if Tarantino will have to.
I feel like he's the type of man who's just
think he's
really
not going
stubborn,
to, and
if like
he'll
some
die
type of
and live with that last one.
Yeah, some type of executives come to him like, "Hey, man, like you can't do this."
Yeah,
he'll be like, "I'm gonna do it anyway."
Right. Yeah, literally.
Yeah, it's gonna be
F off.
Yeah.
I've always appreciated James Cameron.
Yeah.
Because I just love his story. I love that he when he was a kid, you know, from like 10, he grew up in Canada. And he didn't grow up by water, but he was fascinated with water. So when he was like 10 years old, he got scuba certified. And like when Titanic was made, from that gap of after Titanic to Avatar with the blue people. Because I got to, you know, differentiate for people out there. It was like a 10-year gap, and everyone was wondering like, what's going on with him? What's going on with him? But he was just deep sea diving the whole time. Waiting for technology to catch up to him to make Avatar, and I just always found that fascinating that he's had that in the works, you know. And M. Night Shyamalan's similar to that too. With what's that? With Bruce Willis, and then again with the dude
Shattered.
Bruce Willis?
Was it Bruce?
Oh, you mean Split? And like that whole series?
Yeah. That's cool too. Like, what was the first one he did with Bruce? I forgot the name of it, but he did that.
Split or Shattered?
Split.
Shattered was with. It was like Bruce Willis and the other guy, and then Sam Jackson was in it as well. I think Split I thought was the first one.
No, I can't remember, but there was I can't remember. There was one with Bruce Willis, and then he waited a little bit to do it with the other guy, and then blah blah blah. But I always found that I love when creators like will hold off on a project, you know, to knowing like,
you guys know who Terrence Malick is?
No,
I don't think
he
so.
did this thing, a movie called The Thin Red Line, and then he made 2 movies in the 70s, and then didn't make another movie for like 30 years, and then made another like a war movie. What the hell? What's it called? Anyway, Terrence Malick, if you ever want to look him up. But I was always like, what did he do for those 30 years? Like, was there a job, or like, how do you even eat? Like, because it's not even like, was he a professor or something? Like, I don't know, man. It's fascinating when you take that kind of break. But you know, I think that's smart too, and I don't think people do it anymore. Like now you're supposed to, because you can make money. So whoever you are, you're just a person. Like you know, talking about those guys who are trying to do that writing. Like if you try to make 10 movies in a year, you're just gonna make bad ones. You can't be that good. I mean, it's also kind of like, you know, if you're a comic, you do your first hour, and that's taking you your whole life. And if it goes well, they're like, do another one next year, and you're like, I did 20 years for that hour.
Exactly.
It's the same with like film. You know, you only got so many great ideas. It doesn't matter who you are. So it's good to pace yourself a little, but it's hard to turn down money if it's there. I think probably.
I know.
I mean, I'm kind of, in a way, I'm lucky we were as successful as we were. I think if we were 10% more successful, I'd be 80% less happy if I was like out in LA trying to pitch ideas. Like, you know, we had our little run. We made our last film. It didn't do as well as we wanted, and we're like, okay, that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Let's go like do something else. And so like I get to hang out with my kids and stuff. But I have friends who you know you haven't heard of that are making stuff all the time.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know if that's better.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
it's like you're still like slinging and running and gunning and stuff. You know what I mean?
You know, it's a competitive, it's tough business. Like to have to, you know, pitch all the time too, and you can't really ride your coattails. It just matters what your last one was.
Yeah, and denial sucks. Right. Constantly getting denied.
You do your water meetings. They used to call them. Well, now they won't. I think because it's environmental. But you used to call them water meetings because you walk in and they'd give you 2 bottles of water. And then you go to the next one, they give you 2 bottles of water, and nothing ever comes to the meeting. It's like it's just water.
It's water and pee.
Yeah, literally. Hey, what do you got any ideas? Like, I don't know. Everyone's waiting for somebody else to make them money. Like, you tell me.
Right. That's crazy. That's crazy. So, I mean, I think that might be it right now. Oh, yeah. So, all right. So, there's 2 things. Yeah. I knew that part. I'm just saying, guys, come on. I'm a professional. Anyway, so... We always ask what's a book you're reading or a book you've read that really inspired you or has motivated you, or if not, if there's a book you're reading that you like. We'll start with that.
Okay.
Do you have one?
The book I'm reading right now is A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, which was like, I was at my mom's house, and she's got all these like Reader's Digests that look really nice on her shelf. And I was like, let me just steal one of those.
I like that.
Which is actually fascinating. I never read it before, but I lived in Brooklyn. It's all about Williamsburg in like 1912.
Oh, cool.
Which is killer. Book like a.
Do you like? So you must like reading.
Yeah, I mean, I like reading, and like, you know, I like modeling it for my kids too. Which is kind of you get into like when I didn't have kids, I didn't read as much. Like I just didn't get. I'll do it tomorrow. Now you like everyone's got to do 30 minutes a day.
Yeah.
And in this world, like it's so nice to get your brain into one thing and get your phone down and be not to be that like an old guy about it, but it's the only time you can calm your brain down. It's like meditation a little bit now. Right. And so like. I'm always trying to read something. I always have something. And I'm like a book mark kind of person. I slide it down the thing.
Yep.
And I also time myself. I put my phone down and do splits for each page. Because I can lose concentration really easily.
Yeah, me too.
So I need lots of things to remind me that I'm reading. So
you're about to lose concentration. You look at the clock. You're like, still have 10 minutes.
No. And I'm like, so I turn it on and then I just hit lap every time I flip it. And I'm like, ooh, 1 minute and 32. 1 minute 25.
Yeah, I'm reading fast.
They're like 2:05. We're like, what was I daydreaming? How did that happen? But if I do that, I can stay on it for long. But yeah, I love it, man. It's better than ever too, because it's the escape from all this.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I agree with that. It's definitely there's a lot being thrown at us every day. Social media world, I like to call it. We're in the social media world.
Yeah,
it's
man.
no more a regular world unless you go off grid. Yeah. What is something you would? And it's the last thing.
We swear.
I promise. What is something you would tell a younger you who's getting into filmmaking and stuff like that? What's some advice you'd give a young lad or laddie? Is that how you say woman? And
Lassie.
Lad and lassie.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you know, try probably what I did. Like, say yes to a lot of stuff and try everything when you're young. I mean, that's the kind of thing, you know, when you're with your friends and like you guys are super motivated and are into it, that's the time to do it. Like it's, you know, and you can, it doesn't really matter what you're doing. Like I said, like about the start date, just get out and just start shooting stuff and make silly stuff. And like, it doesn't matter if it gets out on TV or if anyone sees it. That might happen. It might not happen. But in 20 years, you're going to look back and be like, those are all my stories. Thank God I did that. And so like, just say yes to everything that you can. I mean, you know, that's always been my philosophy. If you can and there's something interesting in it, try to do it, because that's also where all the random stuff, like we got into Sundance because I had made another film with somebody else that went to South by Southwest, and then we were hanging out in the hallway and I met these guys who, you know, had another short there, and then we made a short in New York because they happened to be there the next week, and none of that would have happened if you're just not doing it. And so like, just go do everything, try to get on film sets, try to go to film festivals. You know, you guys are good at reaching out on the social media, and like just make those connections and find those people, because at the end of the day, when it goes forward, it's both that you're there, you're doing good work, and then also something happens. So you have to kind of be like, hey, Julie, it's me again, just checking in. And they're like, oh, weird thing happened. Someone called me today and they need a TV show shot in Connecticut. And so that's how it happens. And if you didn't call that week, someone else might. And so it's really that. And so it's just staying in it, saying yes to everything, being a good person, being a hard worker, and then always staying in contact because it's so easy to be out of people's sight and mind. I have a commercial production class where I'm like trying to get clients, and always like the first email doesn't count. Like you're just throwing something out there. Then you got to follow up with an email and a call and say hello. And if you have their number, text, and just because it's not only staying in touch, it's that timing, which you can't ever know.
Right, exactly.
No one's got a list of like,
that's
a thing has come in. I'll go to my managed list. Like they're just like, if you're one of the people they like and you can do it, and they're in your
back
head.
In their face, basically. So, that's so funny.
Persistence.
Blitz and blam, here we go. We've got the list of people here, Tony and Mike.
Yeah. Oh, they tell you that. I mean, they used to tell you that about independent film. Like you go to your distributor with a advertising plan. Because if you do that, they want to do it, but if you give it to them, they can't get out of it now. Like you've shown it to them, and they're like, okay, that's what we'll do. So it's just, taking your own initiative and being persistent and nice, being persistent and nice.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Don't take no.
Tony, hear that? Be nice.
Nice is good.
Start being nice, Pony.
Yeah, start being nice, dude.
You know what? Every episode I'm getting
that. You know what's nice is your mustache.
Oh my gosh!
Nice
Doesn't he look like a movie star?
I mean, it's striking. When I pulled up, I was like, that's a famous guy over there.
Yeah, like he's famous.
Yeah,
I know. Like it's like
it's the Italian in me, I guess.
Ah, so jealous. Yeah. You can never have that.
I can never have that. I look totally different with a mustache. I'll tell you that right now. I won't say it on air what I look like, but yeah, it's not a stud. Let's put it that way.
Renee's giving you the.
Yeah, she's like, no, don't. Oh man. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you guys. This was fun.
This was a lot of fun. Honestly, I didn't know what to expect. But I'm glad.
Great.
Yeah, it was
one
of our
movies.
Somebody as good looking as me.
Yeah, no, seriously. I honestly, stud. Honestly, seriously though. I always compared you to Thorne. I thought you were Thorne.
I mean, that guy's way better looking than me. That's the sharpest man there. I need his barber.
Right?
Yeah. That man. That man's got a fade.
High and tight.
When he came here, do you know how he wore his headphones? He went like this.
Yeah.
Oh, he better.
He went like this. Him. He was like this.
Yeah.
I should have. Can we do this again?
No. I always thought you guys were brothers. Honestly, I was like, that's got to be Thorne's like cousin or something.
That guy.
Two studs. Well, thank you so much. Oh wait. Also, where can people find you if they want to reach out to you? Where can they find you?
I bring through the school is the best. So like the Sacred Heart University website, the FTMA grad film, like MA, MFA. I get my emails barnesj7@sacredheart.edu.
Cool.
If anyone's interested in making films someday, we would love to show you the facilities.
It's awesome.
It is pretty sweet. We got the GE Old World headquarters. They ran to Boston and Sacred Heart bought it. And we've got like a sound stage in there and a huge HQ. It's ridiculous.
Oh,
like
we haven't seen that spot.
Yeah, come by.
Yeah,
like you can make a movie soup to nuts in there without.
I would love that.
Leaving.
Because they had like their own production team.
They had their production. Yeah, so we got
all in-house studio.
Oh, I
remember going there with Keith and Golden, like starting setting stuff up and stuff.
And we got some post places in there with like surround sound and mixing.
Oh, cool! I love that. I definitely want to take a tour of that. I want to check it out.
If you guys work with, you guys reached out to grab any of those people. They can operate that stuff for you guys.
Exactly.
So exactly. It's available to you.
100%. And that's honestly the greatest thing about SHU is. Clearly in your program in SCM, it's all across the board. It seems like it's like once you're an alum, you're a pioneer for life. Like we'll do what we can to help you.
Yeah, we have. I mean, our film HQ is like first year, second years, undergrads, alumni, like all people around all the time, and that's you need that network.
Right, so exactly.
SHU's a great place to build it.
It is. All right, guys, thank you.
Right.
Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. This was a great show. I'm actually just like
smash the like button.
Yeah, literally hit it, hit that like button. And we'll see you guys next time. We love you. Appreciate you.
Peace.
Thanks.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do. Thanks again.